All right, everybody, I'm going to try in 15 minutes to give you a basic approach to concepts and layouts and just capturing ideas using Photoshop. First thing I want to do is make sure I make a new document that is the appropriate size for what it is we're doing. We're working with film and video. It's going to be projected on a screen. It's going to probably be in something like HD 720 or something like that. So we want a pretty big screen with pretty good quality. I'm going to use 16-bit, and I can use a white background because I can change that. I'm going to make layers over the top of it anyway. I'm going to call this Pajama Game Concepts. Whatever your project is, that's fine. So it's going to create this for you. This has guides on it already that kind of tell you the safe zones where you should be focusing and working. You can go into View and Show, and you can turn those on and off. I use those a lot. In addition to that, I also show my rulers because I can add my own. One of the things that we're going to be doing is I'm going to be focusing on creating kind of a concept of a using the style of Gerald McBoing, and using data from the director. The director, when you work on a project, your director should be providing content information. In this particular case, it's located in this folder, and he's given me graphic footage, lots of concepts, and also color palettes. Now I'm going to immediately take this color palette and I'm going to use it for my project here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Shift Print Screen, and I'm going to close that, go back to Photoshop, and I'm going to create, I'm going to hit Control V, and it's going to paste a shot in my viewport here. Now this is a large image. It actually is both of my screens. I have two screens on my desktop, two screens on my computer, but what I'm mostly interested is in this. So what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to use my selection tool, and I'm going to snag just this part of it, and I'm going to hit Control X and cut it out, and I'm going to make a new layer by going down here to the new layer, and it'll give me a new layer here that I can call what I'm going to call color palette. And I'm going to hit Control Shift V, and it's going to paste it in place. So I'm going to take my first layer and delete it. I don't want anything else there. And I'll hit Color Palettes, go up to my Transform controls, and I'm going to scale it down a little bit. And I'm going to move it in my upper left-hand corner, and I'm going to hit Enter, and I'm going to lock that. So that is now something I can't actually mess up. But I can sample the colors from here. In my reference footage from Kyle, he said that he liked this full solid background with the essence of objects within it. So every scene has kind of a background, a core color background with the elements kind of peppered in interesting ways. And so from that, I'm going to be using that concept and that principle to define the objects in my scene, perspective, and all that. I'm also going to be using reference footage that I create on my own when I go and look at the actual projects here. I'm making my own reference content, so I'm going to be doing I'm making my own, and so I'm going to be sampling screenshots from movies and that sort of thing. And I sampled a screenshot of the factory from this movie, the Pajama Game movie, which is one of the resources that the director has given us. So I'm going to choose colors and things from this scene, maybe not necessarily the exact color, but something off the palette. This is a dark brownish color, so I'm going to use that as kind of the interior side. The interior of the factory is dark. I'm going to use blues and some lighter beiges to define some of these things, maybe some grays for the clock. And so as I'm using this as my color reference, or as my kind of background reference, as one of them, I'm going to be painting up quickly in the shot. Now, one of the things that the director said is that what he loved about the McBoing Boing artwork was like it was done rather quickly and as if it was done hurriedly, with not a lot of care in the actual accuracy of the placement of the shapes or of the fills within the actual sum of these actual things. So I'm going to keep that in mind as I work. And so I won't always worry about perfectly filling in the shapes, which is nice because that allows me to hurry through and kind of rough out lots of different ideas. Now I'm going to sample from my color palette menu. I'm going to sample using I-64. And I'm going to go to a backdrop and I'm going to make a new background. And I'm going to call this my background color. I'm going to say background color 06 because it's actually 64. Sorry, wrong one. 64. And that lets me know what color I'm using. And I'm going to fill the background color. I'm going to be using this paint bucket, so G. I'm going to fill this space with the 64 color. Now, if I wanted to add like noise on top of that or other variants or grain or something like that, I could to simulate other things or put other things into the scene. So one of the things that I want to focus on is adding a sense of perspective into my scene by maybe having panels or something going off into the distance. So if I wanted to do that, I would want to choose a color that would be maybe slightly different in tone or value. So I might choose this 26. I'm going to use I'm going to choose 26. And I'm going to use that perhaps to make some panels. So I'm going to go to a new layer. I'm going to call this wall panels. And I'm going to quickly kind of block in some things. I'm going to use the polygonal tool, and I'm just going to imagine kind of my vanishing point being somewhere in the middle, and I might just block in some panels here very roughly, one, and I could fill that, maybe put in another one. Oops, let me undo that. Let me fill that. I'm going to go to fill, and I'm going to fill that panel, and I'm going to hit Control D to deselect. I'm going to go back to polygon. I'm going to go to another one here. I might make this one a little bit bigger, and I will close that, and I will go to G and fill that, and I will hit deselect, and then I'll go back to my polygonal lasso tool, which is L, and I might make another one bigger yet. Go into my panels. I'm going to hit enter. It's not wanting me to do it, so it's kind of glitching on me. So I'm going to keep these here. I might just duplicate those. Control D, duplicate. I might Control paste. Oh, Control Z. Forget that. So my wall panels here. Control copy. Control paste. Huh. So I'm getting a little bit of a glitch here, so that's okay. I'll drag this down into this layer and move it over a little bit, maybe scale it up a little bit till... Anyway, you can create the illusion of depth in a lot of different ways. I'll scale this down a little bit, maybe move this over. And you can see rather quickly I can get the feeling of something happening. Now, let's say I want to put a window in the back. Let's say I want to, if I look at my reference footage, I want to put in a blue window of some sort. I'm going to create an arc. I'll show you quickly how you could do something like that, mock it out, put a window over here. I'm going to choose and I'm going to select a blue color 45, and I'm going to go to my ellipse mode here. I'm going to hide my color palette, and I'm going to create a window that is just above here, and I'm going to call this window, and I'm going to go over and I'm going to create an oval like so. I'll make it kind of big because I don't really know. And now I'm going to go back up and I'm going to choose the rectangle tool, and I'm going to choose this one that allows me to select or remove portions of my selection. And so then I can go to G and I can fill it with my blue, and then I can hit Control D and I have a window that I can maybe mess around with here. Input into position. Maybe I want this to be my. So I have a window. If I want to put something inside of it, I might put a fan box inside the window. Fan box for window. And inside of this shape, I might make another shape here. And I'm going to use a color palette, perhaps of a dark gray or a dark blue, maybe not totally black, maybe this charcoal blue here. I'm going to hit I, I'm going to sample this, and I'm going to go to G and go to my window, my fan box, hide my color palette. And I'm going to go in here and sample this space like so. And I'm going to hit G and I'm going to fill that. Maybe that's not dark enough, but it gives me something I can work with. Hit Control D. And then in that space, I can then add an actual fan. Let me look at my reference. And so I have kind of a window over here. There's things within it. So maybe I don't need to worry so much about what's in it. But I might put a fan. I might want to animate that fan. So that means I might want to actually go back to my sample, go into my fan box, and remove perhaps a portion of that. So I might go here, hold down Shift, and make a perfect circle, and delete it. And there's my window box that I can add something inside. Control D to deselect. Then I might hand paint the actual fan blade. I might go and sample using I, sample this, and get a brush using a hard opacity or a mechanical brush. I might go in and I might just, kind of rough in a fan blade of some sort. Might be in the distance. And so I might want to do something like this. And I should actually look at a reference, but I'm not. And if I like it, great. If I don't, then I might want to fix it. I'm not using my stylus, so it's usually a little bit harder to paint when I don't do that. But what's nice is, if I hate it, I can just back up a step. Now, if I wanted to be super accurate, I could do something like this. Control Z. Maybe I could do something like this. Go in, hold down Shift, do this, and then go here, and I want to add to, and I might do something like this, and something like this, something like this. Oop, I missed it. Something like this, and something like this. And then if I like that, which I don't, I might be able to move it into position. I could fill it with that color and move on. So let's say that that's a fan blade. I don't really like it, but I can geek out over that later on and tweak it. Since it's just a concept, Control D. So there's my fan blade and my window, all of which that I could move around wherever, scale it down, scale it up, whatever I want. If I wanted to, I could take all of those, duplicate them, or I could actually merge them down into one layer if I wanted to. Say I was done with it, I could merge them, merge layers. I'm going to move this. Right click and say merge layers. Then I have fan blades. I can hit Control, duplicate, and Control, Shift, paste. That's stuck in my, unfortunately that's stuck on my clipboard, but I could take my fan blade and just hit over here, duplicate it, and move it, and make a copy if I wanted to. I don't, but I could. Alright, so let's say that's my back window. Here's my walls. If I wanted to add lights and those kinds of things too, I could do that as well. And I probably would rough those in with a new layer called lighting or lights. And I could grab a brush, grab a color from my color palette. I might stick with something a little bit lighter than this brown. Maybe I would use this brown. Maybe something a little bit darker, but not 64 dark, maybe 26 dark. I'm going to go up to my color palette. I'm going to use I. I'm going to sample it. And I'll use my brush and hide my color palette. And maybe I'm going to go into my layer 1, was supposed to be light.